Hello! Today I'll show you how I put together a radio kit, both in stop motion and for real. If you only want to watch the assembly tutorial, then go ahead and watch the second part of this video, but if you also want to see how I make my animations, then I'll start with setting up. I've made many investments in my studio. I made sawhorses that I use very often now to hold my sets. I can easily fold them away and I can place different boards on top and drill through any of these if I want to. I've got two C-stands that have proven to be super helpful. I attach my camera to it if I want to shoot overhead, or my diffuser, or a rig, or anything really. I even got a stand for my laptop, so I no longer use a pile of boxes. Today I'm animating a knolling animation. I start with laying down all my pieces and figuring out the framing of the whole thing. I jump into Photoshop for faster planning. I know that I'll shoot this at a different studio, so I want to be prepared and not waste time on shoot day itself. What is now very different about my process than when I started is that I do so much planning ahead. I'll keep moving and rearranging pieces till I like a composition. I'll still probably change it on shoot day itself and checking how all the pieces look under the light, but it still gives me a good head start. This is a collaboration project with digikey. They asked me whether I can put something together and not just take things apart. And they wanted to send me one of their kits to animate. It took so long to choose one of the kits because they have so many. But I wanted to work on my soldering skills, so they sent me the Pirate Radio kit where I'd have to solder some of the parts together. And they also sent me all the soldering tools I need. Technically, this is not the first soldering experience I'll have. I've done some soldering before, but it wasn't the greatest. I've always used these cheap irons that I can find around here, and to be honest, I've always blamed it on the tools. But I definitely cannot do this time. If you are a newbie like me, don't worry, you'll find so many guides on Pimoroni. I'll put all the links and the steps in the bio, so make sure to check them. There's also a very good YouTube tutorial by digikey where they show how good soldering should look like. I would divide this project into 3 parts: the soldering, assembly, and the software stuff. The soldering wasn't actually as hard as I expected. I think I did a pretty good job. Definitely a good soldering iron makes a lot of difference. You'll solder the female part to the fat bead and the male part to the raspberry. It's a bit confusing on their website since they show a different model, but that's how you should orient everything. Next, the assembly is very easy, and if you follow the guide, you should face no problems. The next part is a bit tricky for someone who never used Raspberry Pi before. You'll need a monitor, a keyboard, a power supply, and an SD card. On that SD card, you're gonna download the software. And I had a problem with that. I followed the guide and downloaded the latest version of the Raspbian Lite, but it did not work. To make this work, you need to download an older version. I downloaded the 2018. You'll find the link in the description as well. Once I figured this out, everything else went smoothly. After you download it, you'll need to put it on your SD card on your laptop, and you do this by using an etcher. I used this one. It's very easy to use. You just open the software, upload the file, choose your SD card. I already did this, and then flash. It will take a bit of time, wait for it, and then it will prompt you that it's done. You take it out of your laptop and put it in your Pi, and then connect your monitor. I use my TV as a monitor, so you connect it through the HDMI, you connect your keyboard and you power it up. I used my laptop to power it. As soon as you do this, it's gonna boot up directly and then prompt you to enter the login. The default login is Pi and the password is Raspberry. It will be invisible for someone who never done this before. You'll think you're doing a mistake, but the password will be typed, but it will be invisible. So you type it and press enter, and then everything will run. Now you need to connect it to your Wi-Fi. I followed the guide and it worked. You just change the country code and the name of your network and the password. Follow how you save it and reboot it again, and then you run the installer. This is when I had a problem. My keyboard did not have this character. Luckily, I found a tutorial by the Radio Geek here on YouTube. I link it as well, and he explained that the default keyboard is set to be in UK, so you change that in US, and then you reboot it again, and then now you can type in and run the installer. Keep it open. Mine took a really long time. It took almost like 2 hours. Just leave it running. Do not take it out of power and think that it froze. No, it's working. Just leave it. And if it's all successful, it's gonna tell you that the VLC radio is installed. If not, then you probably installed the wrong version of Raspbian. The last thing that you can do is put your own radio stations on it. I followed the guide. I managed to, for now, connect it with live streams of music on YouTube of channels that I like, and it worked.